Hey everyone, welcome to this week's watch list preview. I'm doing a little bit different today only because, um, well, to be honest, I just have more time today. Weather's not looking real good here. I don't really have any plans for today, so I spent a little bit more time going through, and I just wanted to, I just figured it'd be a good time to show you guys kind of what I look at, some of the stuff I look for. So let's start off by looking at the Qs. Weekly on the Qs is strong. We've had what is this, two ups now for 7 weeks in a row. The Qs have been two up. Um, yeah, there is a potential for exhaustion risk and being top heavy, but until we see indications of that, I say we keep marching on and just see what it gives us. But you see here we had kind of a spinning top here, which is just slightly weaker than a doji, and it continued on. This means indecision here. You see a tug of war here, and it still continued on. Yeah, we had a little bit of a pullback at the end of the week. If we go back to the daily, we see it. We had some pullback here, but you can see what it did. We closed here at 360, opened at 355, which isn't a huge gap, but it's still, pretty decent gap for what we've been seeing. And then it shot right back up. So that just shows there's some strength still there. So, um, just be mindful that, there is exhaustion. That's a hard word to say. There is exhaustion risk. So just be mindful of that. But I don't see any indications that we're slowing down or losing momentum here. If we look at the SPY, very similar on the SPY. We haven't had quite as many two up weeks, but still strong. And you see the try here. We're near the top of the try, but we've been getting close to the top of the try and haven't breached it yet. It just keeps kind of like chugging along here. If you look at the try on the Qs, actually I didn't draw one of the Qs, so let's do that. To give you an idea of how I draw them. I usually draw them off the weekly, sometimes a day. If I'm looking for some kind of like a day trade, I'll draw it off the daily chart. But not saying these won't be day trades off the weekly chart. But if I'm looking at weekly chart setups, I usually draw the try off the weekly. So you come back here, we don't have any lower lows until here. So we draw from here, draw a lower low to this one, because if we draw it here, it's not descending. So we draw it here, come up here to this high, draw it back to, it doesn't really matter if you draw it to here or here. I mean, it does kind of matter, but if you draw it here, you're going to get your lowest angle. Like, you see how the angle here changes. I don't know if I can, okay, if I do it this way, our price range here for this week is lower than it would be if I drew it from here to here. And to be more cautious, I'd rather have my broadening formation lower than higher to be safe. So we'll disregard this because I just drew this for an example. So if I would draw it from, let's say I draw it from here. See the difference in the angle here? Now I could falsely be thinking the top of the broadening formation's here when it's actually here. And we don't know for sure where they're going to stop it at. It'd likely be off of this one instead of this one. This is just a random one, so I don't know why anybody would draw it off of here. But just showing, and yeah, I could go back even further. I could draw it here to here. But, where do you stop? At some point you have to figure a cutoff. So I just kind of look back. This is, what's this? Maybe 3 months back. This is April 12th. So yeah, we're 3 months back here. So I think that's plenty to be looking at. So let's look at some of the stuff I have on the watch list for this week. I don't know why these disappeared, because I just went through them. Wells Fargo, Rev Strat week. You see we had an inside candle last week, followed by a down candle. It's a hammer candle, dropped down, started coming back up, and we have a lot of hammers type candles this week because of that big sell-off. What was it, Thursday or something? Wednesday, whatever day it was. So we're looking for a break above this 44.82. That will trigger the Rev Strat, the 122 reversal. If we come to our daily chart, let's look for some targets here. This would be our trigger. First target technically could be this one, but that's only a 60-cent move. This is a pivot high on the daily, so I'd rather look at that one. We're at 45.64. After that one, you could go off of this one, but again, I went with a pivot high again on the daily, 46.63. So that's what I'm looking at for Wells Fargo. Disney is my next one, and I don't know what's going on. You know how when you put tickers in here, they stay in here, and I just did this just a little bit ago, and most of them disappeared. Disney, let's first take a look at the month. On an inside month, looking for a break above this, but if we go to the weekly, we're looking at a Rev Strat week, and I know this chart's going to look kind of sloppy with all these lines on here, all these targets. A break above 177.52 triggers our Rev Strat week. I don't like that we're inside of this. We're kind of stuck inside of all this, but we have the potential to start coming back through here. I'd be very careful with the chop on this one. If we do break above this and look for and get in, I'd look for a target here, 179.09. It's not a huge move, but I would be very careful with this one because, like I said, we are stuck inside. I probably won't trade this one just because I don't like the setup being stuck inside this huge range. You can come back here and kind of see this is the bottom. Here's our broadening formation here, and we're stuck right. We've been stuck from 181, 167. Now it's a good size range. It's $14, but you'll see more chop here. You won't see steady, continuous moves on charts. You see, we're kind of up, down, up, down. It's not saying you can't trade it. You just have to be more careful of it. So that's what I'm looking at here. Break above 177.52. Come down to the daily chart, and you could have a target here at 178.35. You could have another one at 178.65ish. I was actually looking here at this pivot high for the next target. So 179.09, which is $1.50 move. I'd be moving my stops up pretty tight if we get up to here. If you get in it, you get up to here, I'd be raising my stops up here pretty tight. And if it's the end of the day and we're up here, I would consider selling it and not holding it overnight just because of this, because we may see a gap down on it. Just because of chop. It's like I said, it's not a smooth chart right now. But I did want to put it out there because there is room to trade it with $14 range. Caterpillar, kind of looking at the same thing here. We're kind of stuck inside here, so be a little bit careful of that. This range here, been stuck inside for 3 weeks now. But if we can get above this level, we could see us coming back up through this big, huge red candle here. But you got to take it one step at a time. So looking at a break above 218.59, and if we go to the daily chart, there's our break above 218.59. Next target, first target's 219.79, about a $1.20 move. And then we have a pivot high here on the daily chart at 221.93. If we break through that, we should probably be able to see pretty good move up here to 227s. So keep an eye on that one. Again, it's still, we're stuck inside on a lot of these because of that big pullback we had the other day. You know, what day was right here? The 6th, Tuesday. That day put us inside on a lot of things. We were already kind of inside before that, but you know, at least it gave us some expansion to the downside, so we have a little bit of room to work with. But yeah, I just want to stress, be careful with the chop here. Caterpillar, FedEx. Looking at FedEx, you know, kind of the same thing. We're kind of stuck inside. We have a hammer candle, 1-2. Looking at 299.63 for your trigger. Come here to the daily. First target's going to be this pivot high at 304.59. It's a pretty nice move, $5 move. You know, if we can get to that target, that'd be a nice place to take profits, in my opinion. But again, you know, it's inside. There's no really nice setups right now that I can find. Dick's Sporting Goods. This one looks a little bit better. We're kind of inside, but we're near the highs. This one's been doing a little bit better. Not really stuck chopping around inside. You know, look at the monthly. We're near the top. Look at the weekly. We're near the top. Look at the daily. You know, coming back up close to the top. We have higher highs, higher lows. This chart doesn't look bad at all. So if we look at the monthly, we're still inside month, but we're just about to break out. I don't want to say break out, but the highs 101.38 of the last week, and the high the previous week was 102.92, and that's kind of where we may take off from there. The weekly, here we go. The 1-2, the Rev Strat, break above 101.38. We look at, I don't believe I drew a broadening formation on this one, so let's do that again. So this one we can come here, and you can draw it from here to here if you wanted, or here to here. Sometimes if you know, you see this such a steep angle that sometimes I'll go ahead and move down to the daily and look for something a little bit smoother. So let's try that. Let's go down to the daily. And you know, I said I like to use the weekly chart, but like I said, if we draw one here, we're gonna have a line, you know, pretty steep angle. This line here, we would go from here to here, probably be actually from here to here. So the upper line wouldn't be bad, but this lower line would be really steep. So let's try a daily and see how that would look. So if we look at the daily, we could come here, drop from here to here, and we could go from maybe here to here for the daily. If you didn't like that one, you could probably come from, you know, again here to here, where you're gonna have a really steep angle. So this is looking like the best bet for drawing it. This one is lower than this one, so if we drew it from here, it'd actually probably be flat. Let's see, 102.13, 102.12. So it would be slightly downhill. It wouldn't be broadening formation. So we don't want to draw it from there. We could draw it from here. That would give us a you know, nice angle, but like I said, this one's a shorter distance, so to be conservative, I'd rather draw it from there. So again, here's our trigger at 101.38, first target 102.12, second target, we could look at 102.13, but that's a penny. I don't see that as being significant enough to set a target on that. You could have a target here, but I looked at the pivot high from back here on the daily chart at 102.92. So I'm looking at that for target 2. But I do like this chart. Like I said, the weekly, monthly, daily, all time frames look good on this chart. Doesn't mean we might, we might see a little bit more chop in here, but we're pretty close to breaking this out. If we break this 102.92, we'll see where we go from there. Not saying it'll take off and shoot up $5-10, but we're at all-time highs. You got to watch for exhaustion risk, but you also need to be mindful that once we break this, it might pull in a lot of buyers. So watch for that. SHOP weekly chart. SHOP, I'm looking for possibly something to the downside here. It's not that it's that bad of a chart, but I just wanted to put stuff out there for downside plays, just in case something comes up. You see on the monthly, we're forming a shooter on the monthly, so we're setting up for that if things continue this way. On the weekly, we had a shooter on the weekly. It was green, but it's still a shooter. Look at the daily, and it wasn't very pretty. Friday wasn't bad, but the daily hasn't been very pretty. So I'm looking for possibly a break below this inside candle at 1452.32. Target one, and I'll be up front. I probably won't trade this. I don't like the gaps on SHOP. The gaps on the options are horrible, so I don't usually trade it, but I'm putting it out there. You see target one here is going to be 1442. Target 2 is 1429.03. Target 3 is way down here at 1351. So that's what I have for SHOP. Lulu is the next one. Lulu, we have strong on the monthly, strong on the weekly. You know what? I screwed up. Lulu's not on my list, so let's just disregard that. I don't know why. I didn't take it off my list. I had it on there to look at it. But we could see a 1-2-2 to the downside, but I don't see that happening with this big strong candle here. So Lulu, I just forgot to take off my list. I forgot to delete it off of there. So scrap that. Lulu is not a trade that I'm going to be watching for. Let's see what else we have. So that was it. That's it for my list for this week. I have, these are from last week. That's why they're canceled now. Wells Fargo, Disney, Caterpillar, FedEx, Dick's Sporting Goods, and SHOP. So something else I want to show you here. Keep an eye on, we come down here, XLE. XLE is the energy sector. That's your Schallenberger. I think ConocoPhillips is in there. ExxonMobil. Keep an eye on those. If we do get a rev strat to the upside, on the weekly chart doesn't look good. If this candle was green, I'd say this is a good potential for a rev strat. I don't like that this candle's red and we're opening way down here. I don't know if we'll open here, but we closed way down here. I don't like that we closed way down here. If this was a green candle and we closed up here, I'd put more emphasis on this. But if we look at the daily chart, we had some pretty good weeks, or pretty good days here. We may be looking at a reversal here. We haven't reversed on a weekly yet, but the daily looks like it's trying. So it may lead to a weekly reversal. If we do come up here and break above this 54.61, keep an eye on the energy, the oil and stuff. Another one is XLF Financial. This is going to be your Citibank, your JP Morgan, your Goldman Sachs. Keep an eye on this for a rev strat. I don't have targets or alerts set because I wouldn't necessarily be trading the XLF. I'd be looking for stocks within the XLF to trade. There's something in my throat. If we get a 2-2-2 back up. Wait a 2 up, followed by a 2 down hammer. If we get a 2 up here, that could potentially set up some of these Goldman Sachs, I think Wells Fargo's in here also. We could be setting up for some of those. Let me pull this other. I pull this other one up. It'll tell you exactly what's in there. XLF. And I don't have every one of them listed. I just have the ones that I like to trade. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. And I had Wells Fargo here listed. So, we're looking at RevStrat to the upside here. If we get a break to the upside on this, a 2-2 reversal to the upside, Wells Fargo would potentially be a very strong candidate. Not saying, let's just say Bank of America. Not saying Bank of America can't be also, but this chart doesn't look as good to me as some of the others. Earnings on July 14th, so be mindful of that on Bank of America. That's only Wednesday maybe. Wells Fargo. Same here, so just be careful of that. Remember, we have earnings on 14th, which is Wednesday. So that's the financials. XLV is the healthcare. It's been strong. If you look at monthly, strong. Weekly, strong. Daily, still strong. I mean, you might look at this and say, well, it's not as strong, but it is. You need some consolidation. You need some pullback. You need a little bit of profit taking. That's healthy for a market. So days like this are good. They set up days like this. So yeah, the daily's not quite as strong, but overall, this is a strong. XLV is a strong sector lately. XLV is your healthcare. You're looking at the XLV, Johnson & Johnson, CVS, Bristol Myers, United Healthcare, AbbVie, Pfizer, Humana. Watch for some of those. If you get on a weekly chart, it's strong. We're already in force on the monthly and weekly. Daily, we have a doji here. Let's say maybe we pull back a little bit here Monday, and we come down here, and maybe we come down, touch here, come back up a little bit. We could be setting up for a 2-2 reversal on a daily, and in my opinion, that's a great time to jump in because the monthly and weekly look great. We just need the daily, or maybe even like a 2 or 4 hour to set up an entry for us. XLP, and these are all very similar. They're all good looking charts. Monthly, monthly's not quite, XLP's not quite as pretty as the other ones were, but we're still inside month. Week, we're starting to come back up through on a weekly. Daily's not looking too bad. The XLP, I'm not as impressed with the XLP as the others, but XLP is Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Pepsi, Walmart, Costco. XLY. We have XLY here. You're looking at Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot. You see the monthly, nice looking chart. Weekly, nice looking chart. Daily, nice looking chart. So look for setups within this sector. Look for maybe an inside day here. Look for an inside day, and then the following day look for a break above it, and then start watching these and see what looks good in here. XLI, industrials. Looking at what's Caterpillar, Boeing, Honeywell, UPS. Monthly chart, yeah, it's pulling back. We're inside month, so be careful of that one. Weekly starting to come back up through. Daily doesn't look too bad. We're still inside. We're kind of, if you move this up, we're stuck inside between here and here. But we are chugging back up through here. So just, watch for anything in there. And I'm not setting alerts or targets on these specifically. But just showing you to watch these and watch what's inside, what's the holdings of each of these. XLK, of course, we all know what XLK is. We're looking at all your big stuff here, all the stuff everybody loves to trade. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, PayPal, CRM, Adobe. Monthly looks great. Weekly looks great. You got to be careful exhaustion risk, but the chart. I'm sure people said back here, watch for exhaustion risk, and look where we're at now. So, daily. This is what I was talking about on the daily. Look for a 2-2 reversal. On one of these other charts, if you have a 2 up followed by a 2 down, look for it to break the high of the previous day. Once you break this, that's your entry for, not necessarily entry for XLK. You could trade the XLK, but look for stuff within the XLK and see what's looking strong and what's setting up, and jump in that. And you have your sector going your direction. The sector that individual, let's just say Apple. You want to trade Apple, your sector just set up for an entry. Now's a good time to start looking at Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia to see if you can find an entry on there. So yeah, it's just this whole thing here about the XLKs, XLVs. This isn't part of the watch list, but it's more of a lesson. So I kind of combined it. I'm sorry it's a long video, but like I said, I just figured I'd add some more in today. Just keep an eye on that stuff, and this stuff matters. You had a daily break on the 8th. Well, that was actually on the 9th it broke above it. If we break this down to, let's say, the 4 hour, right here was maybe an entry. So if we look at Apple, look at Apple. Let's go back to the daily. Same thing. We had a 2 up followed by a 2 down, gap down, come back up. You could have entered as soon as you broke above the top of this candle. Microsoft. This is actually still setting up. We had an inside day. Keep an eye on this one. I didn't scan for any inside days, but here's one right here. And I had this marked for an inside month. Was it for this month, or did I forget to remove this? Yeah, this is old. Let me get rid of this. And you see that worked. Inside month up, and it broke its targets. But these are old, so let me get rid of them. I didn't have anything set for dailies, but this is a nice setup here. We break above the high of this candle, which is 278.05. Start looking for targets up here around 280. Maybe even higher. A broadening formation's way up here. So I'm not going to officially put this on the watch list, but it's something to keep an eye on. So again, just watch these sectors. You see a strong sector. Here, I'll show you how I do this. Gotta find it. Index watch list. Here's my list. And I have this up here. I have this up on one of my other screens. It has all these. I can see it's a 30-minute chart. But aside from that, I have this in one of my corners, the corner of one of my screens. So I can kind of see at a glance what's going on with these sectors. But check these sectors. If you see that, let's say XLE is getting ready to do a reversal, looking for maybe a rev strat reversal, or maybe it had an inside day. Look at the energy sector. Look at ConocoPhillips, look at Exxon, look at Schallenberger, look at those and see if any of those are setting up and jump in them. So that's my video for this week. Thanks for watching and good luck this week. Bye.